Hello, back to another Transformers review. Today we're going to take a look at another Revenge of the Fallen toy today. This is going to be something that I wanted to review for a while, but I never did get around to doing it again. So today we're going to take a look at Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown. Now, before I start this off, I just want to say that this wasn't how I originally planned to do this review out, because what I originally wanted to do was I was going to do a comparison video between this Lockdown and his animated counterpart, but my plans of getting an animated Lockdown are slowly getting together to the point where I really don't think I'll get the toy at some point. But what can you do? Anyway, so Lockdown, Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown. His role in the movieverse is pretty much the same as his in animated. Really, he's a bounty hunter who pretty much who pretty much isn't really interested in Megatron's whole thing about conquest. So the only thing he's interested in is just capturing Autobots and taking their weapons for spare parts as ways to capture and kill them. Not really much aside in his bio except the Ratchet is his next target, and he also had a little run-in with RC with some unspecified circumstance. His supercharger stores a lot of kinetic energy to the point where it actually freezes them up. So it's like his EMP generator in a lot of ways. He trained Axor many years ago, a young hunter in training, who even so much went balls to the wall and just said, I'll rebuild myself to make it so that I look like you. But he often denies it. So you kind of get the feeling that Axor does learn a lot from the best. He views his mentor as his close comrade, which Lockdown which led him to believe his closest comrade is Megatron, because he's probably the only one who often pays him enough to go out and get Autobots. But that's pretty much his bio side. He has a fictional side. He did appear in some of the cyber missions. He was seen in the third cyber mission when he was cruising along the city streets when he encountered Ratchet. And Lockdown fled Ratchet silently as the Autobot fired his EMP generator, EMP blaster, to pretty much express his frustration in a lot of ways. But because he mocked Ratchet and he never could be able to beat him, Ratchet just occasionally knocked him down on a lot of occasions. So he pretty much just got away. And as Lockdown sped away, he wondered if he could actually fix Ratchet's weapon, because he took the EMP blaster as a memento. Then in the 7th cyber mission, he managed to evade Diego Garcia's security measures and sneak into Autobot HQ undetected. And after cutting the power to the facilities, he snuck up behind Sideswipe in a target practice range, using the EMP blaster that he got from Ratchet, where Lockdown was actually going to take Sideswipe's blades. But Ratchet then came in and then got away. But so you kind of get the feeling that Lockdown, all he ever does is just flee the scene, which kind of get the feeling that he would go on a blaze of glory, but that never happened, sadly. Then again, in the 11th cyber mission, him alongside Barricade confront Ironhide, where, hoping to steal one of Ironhide's weapons, he took one of his missiles, which ended up blowing up in his face, and it damaged his eyes, so he ran away again. Comics aside, he did appear in the Titan magazine, where in the issue Inside Out, where Lockdown had been captured by Nest under unknown circumstances, only to be part of Bludgeon's jailbreak. So that was pretty good. And then when the Autobots tracked the Decepticons down in Russia, this was in Divided Loyalties, Lockdown was ordered to prepare an ambush for them. Then in the various comics, where a partly green robot with a hook that had been replaced as his right hand, let's just say that is Lockdown, was captured by the Initiative, who, for unknown reasons, they're a mysterious group. They like to hide in the shadows for unspecified reasons. So they pretty much put Lockdown under his mind control. And when Optimus and the Autobots assaulted the Initiative's mobile HQ, the brainwashed Lockdown and Thrust and another Transformer battled Bumblebee, Jolt, and Dune Runner and Knockout, but were eventually sedated. So So that's pretty much Lockdown in a nutshell. His role in the movieverse is almost the same as in animated, where he's a bounty hunter who doesn't care about Megatron's whole conquest thing, and he's mainly interested in just spare parts to help enhance his role as a bounty hunter. So he's pretty much a badass, but at the same time, though, all he ever does is just run away. Which you kind of get the feeling that he should have done a lot more than just, I'm going to be the bounty hunter, I'm going to take these weapons and run away. Oh well, but what are you going to do? So anyway, though, now that we've talked about Lockdown's bio, we're going to come straight onto the toy, and already you can tell straight away that I'm going to enjoy reviewing this toy. So this toy itself is awesome, but that's all I'm going to say up to this point. So without any further ado, let's get onto the toy, and we're going to find out how this toy... Here we have Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown in his alt mode, and right away, I'm just going to come out and say it. This is probably one of the nicest looking toys I have seen from the Revenge of the Fallen line by far, next to Brawn and other figures as well. Plus, Lockdown is one of those characters that he really has a lot to say for himself. Now, this alt mode, of course, bears a very strong resemblance to his animated counterpart with the whole color scheme and all that. And of course, the alt mode itself for Lockdown is basically a mix of two vehicles. It's a mix of the 1980s Corvette and the 60s Cougar, just covered from layer to layer with spikes and a big cow catcher, which I gotta admit makes this toy look badass. Now, if you've seen this toy already, you will know that this toy was retooled and recolored to make the 2010 toy Axor based off the Action Master Axor, which I was tempted to get because it's got a new head sculpt and a new weapon, but at the same time, though, it's still just the same. It's still just the same toy. And of course, this toy was repurposed as the G1 Lockdown from the Drift comics, which I don't see how that works, because how could you make something from the movieverse blend in with anything from G1? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, as you can see, here is his alt mode, a big stonking car, which this is probably something that Lobo would drive if he paid for his car insurance, but again, I've never seen Lobo drive a car, so what can you do? As you can see, he's covered with a lot of spikes on the roof, on the doors, cow catcher on the front, and big spikes on the wheels, which make this toy just look really awesome. And of course, the toy can roll quite well, depending on which surface you have, whether it's hard or flat. Underneath, it hides the robot mode quite well, aside from this, which is going to be his hook, which we're going to come on to in a minute. There isn't really a lot to say, except he has the paint scheme of the original animated Lockdown with the whole green and the... I want to say this is brown, but at the same time, though, it looks like black, so let's say black. And of course, the orange windows, which that looks really nice. So, transforming this guy is not hard. All you need to do is just take off the engine, which we're going to come on to in a minute. That's going to be his weapon. First thing you need to do is just pull out the feet and push them down. Pull the hook out, because we're going to come on to that later on. And detach the spoiler. And pull that back. And just detach the side doors as well, which those are going to become his arms. I'm trying to make sure those don't fall off as well. Pull back the wheels, lift down the legs, and then detach them as well at the bottom, because that's where they are connected as well as in between. So there we go. And of course, you can see underneath a little bit of the detail right there. That is really superb sculpting right there. So just lift up the arms like that, and then just lift down the hood, push the hook in like that. So, and then finally just lift up the hand, and here is Lockdown. We'll just put that down. Lockdown in his robot mode, and yeah, right away, I like this toy a lot. This robot mode for Lockdown is really nice. I can point out a lot of different problems with it, but we're going to come on to the pros first of all. As you can see, here he is in his robot mode. He is quite menacing, as Lockdown is supposed to be. He has some good articulation in his arms. He has all of his limbs are on ball joints. Well, Everything just above the waist is all on a all on a ball joint. His arms on ball joints all the way onto the elbows, and the arms. Well, this arm can't rotate the full 360. This arm can. Well, that's pretty cool. The head, the head sculpt is actually quite impressive as well. You can see the whole Frankenstein bolt look to him. You can see the little bolts right there. His head is actually on a ball joint, so his neck as well. It's on 2 clicks, so just lift the head up. You can either have him with a neck or without a neck. But with a neck, you can see that he has some very impressive light piping. So that is really nice. You can see that a lot of detail went into making this toy, and I think with his head up, he doesn't look right. So let's just have him with his head down, because that's the Lockdown that we remember. Now, weapons-wise, there isn't a lot to say for weapons-wise, except that he has this hook, which, as you all know, Lockdown has a hook, but it's made of rubber. Why the hell is it made of rubber? It should be made of plastic, because another problem I have with this toy is that aside from the hook being just rubber, which it looks very flimsy, the hand is also rubber, which has movable fingers, but that's really all it can do. I'm not really sure why the hand is made of rubber, but it would have been nice if the hook and the hand was made of plastic. Oh, one more thing as well. You can either put into his arm, which I noticed this on the TF Wiki, is that you can either put in Ratchet's weapon or the EMP generator, which is actually his engine. So there's something reminiscent from Animated. Now, onto something a little bit good. His legs have 2 joints, which that is really nice. So the legs can either move back and forth whichever way you want, but they have good knee joints. 2 knee joints right there, which he has a lot of kick power to him, like a horse. Which you can either have him looking very tall and menacing, as Lockdown should be, which that makes the toy more to be desired, or you could just have him just hunched down, horse-like, scary bastard. Either way, it's still a really nice toy. You can have this guy doing some poses. I'm trying to get him into some poses at the moment, but it's hard because this toy is so well jointed that it's hard to actually get him to stay in a good pose. This is probably the only one I can come up with. So let me just move the stand a little bit out of the way, and you can see that one pose aside, I guess that's alright, but at the same time though, he's just falling all over the place. So let's just get him standing straight up. There we go. So there you go, that's Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown. And all I can say is that he's a pretty nice toy, and just hunch down, that's it, get him all the way in. He's a really awesome toy. I like his design. He is very well put together and assembled, very well detailed. If you haven't got the Animated Lockdown, I recommend you get either this Lockdown, because it's essentially the same toy, same character, just one is slightly more menacing than the other, but at the same time though, Lockdown is a very awesome character. I don't know who it was who said that Lockdown is a combination of Predator and Death's Head, but I think they managed to hit that completely on the target, because that's exactly who he is. He's a bounty hunter who doesn't care. But anyway, yeah, Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown. I can't recommend this guy enough. He's a really awesome toy. If you don't have him, get him. You can find him for a good price. So anyway, this has been Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown, and I'm Scorpion140. Of course, like always, folks, thanks for watching. Catch you later.